Hey guys, Adrian with Team Inspire here, and who am I here with, and what did you do?
You're here with Ruben, Penaranda, and I went X3 at the YCS, and then on the next day, I won a giant card with the same list.
And what did you play today?
I played Yubel. Like I said before, it's not for me, Bell, it's for Yubel. All jokes aside, I just really enjoy this deck. I think it's still really good, especially considering it has the most realistic answers to like Furulos, because if your opponent's not shotgunning it, you can just hard make a Phantom at the start of your main phase, and then you have like counterplay to it. It's not that bad into Parelia, and people aren't playing cards like Nib, so you don't have to fear double combinations of hand traps as much. So like if they're not using any of the chummies versus you, you really have a good time playing into hand traps and people's boards. So I wanted to play this deck, especially in South America. There may not be people that have access to it. Fortunate part is since you do play Fiendsmith cards in this deck, can't really play Impulse, Dominus Impulse, and that's one of like the best cards ever printed. So that's the unfortunate part about this deck, but I thought it was okay because of the power level that Yubel provides.
Great.
So quick couple shout outs before shout outs to the team, obviously. Guard over here with deck boxes, main phase, and Tinfold. We can't really go to any of these events and do as well as I do without them. They provide me with cards, help me get to the events, help Theory. Just love the guys on the team. Couldn't do it without them. Shout outs to them. Shout outs to everyone we stayed with. Shout outs to Landon for winning the Crash Out King, as I will now be calling him. But yeah, shout outs to Hani. He also helped me make the list. Shout outs to Ben again, the Ubel God. But let's get right into it. So a couple sections here. Let's move all these to the side. And then we'll start with the main light cards. We got 3 Samsara, 3 Beckoning Beasts. Like that's normal. And then like the fourth copy of them with like periodized map. I'm still like a fan of like one of these cards, especially game one, just to make sure you have a lot of consistency in your deck. Especially like you'll see I'm playing 52 cards. So like it's a bigger number, bigger than like I've played with the Yubel deck before. And I think this is a really good consistency card because it can get both of these. It could also get you the Yubel incarnate if you want to just make a Phantom off of like the piece you add because you don't care about the incarnate effect, which is really nice. And then one for one, obviously this gets Samsara, and we're playing the Fiendsmith card, so it gets Slurry. Then obviously like the best card in the deck, 3 Throne, and then Terraforming to get to it. And then like pack, we also played like set rotation. As you'll see, we played the cash cards. These cards were actually really, really strong. Taking a note out of like Pack and Sam's book, they were just extenders. They were really good cards into hand traps that just allow you to make half boards. It allows you to play set rotation, which is a crazy card. It prevents you from getting impermed. It makes it so your opponent has to use the Charmies right then and there, so you can like dictate your play. And if you like, they chain the Charmies to this, and especially if they use 2 of them, you can just be like, all right, go for like Planet, go for a Fenrir, search Unicorn, pass on that, or like go Unicorn, search Birth, and like depending what matchup you're playing against, you just give them like 0 draws or 1 draw to like with a minimalistic setup, and then have defensive cards. So like that's like the main part of the deck. Then next we have like the supplementary like engines. I know Cash is like part of that, but I feel like it was included with like the main focus of how we were playing the deck. So and we have the Fiendsmith cards. It's kind of standard. I know like people are messing around with something like this, or then like cutting this card altogether and just playing this. And like before we were playing like track. So playing Lacrima is essentially like playing track. It's except it's like a normal summon, but it just makes like your regular combos a lot better. Having an additional Light Fiend in rotation makes it so your combos are a lot more fluid when you're playing through hand traps, especially getting to Desiree through like awkward interactions or like through boards or through multiple disruptions. I think it's really important having access to the additional Light Fiend, and then it also provides additional follow up on your opponent's turn by being able to shuffle it back to the deck to summon back your Requiem, and then using it on your opponent's turn just so you can get more Light Fiends into rotation. Felt like that was like really important and made this engine like really, really strong. A lot of people like don't have Engraver in their deck because of Impulse, and it just makes it so like your deck is so much further ahead, especially with just like having 2 bodies on the field. Your opponent just has to fear you being able to combo, which makes it so I like love those cards. Then like more of the like not starters fully, but these are like pseudo extenders or like half starters where in combinations with a lot of different cards, they're like full starters or like can play through hand traps. All these cards are really good. You'll see I didn't play Omraj, so this isn't a full starter, but it complements a lot of your cards really well. All these cards are needed. Only I like 1 for these. I felt like 2 was important, so sometimes you need to foolish it off of Aerial Eater, banish it, and then you want to search 1 to use its pop effect as well. So that's why I played the second one. I'm not sure if it's necessary, but I did enjoy having 2 of them, especially for hard drawing it. And then the Evolve cards, you have to play them. Kind of want to play 3 just so you can like hard make Phantom a little more often, but it's just like not great to draw if you can't like start playing already. So You gotta play like two, but I've definitely thought about playing three. One of the bricks, and then one more brick. So except for like the engine count, the deck, and then obviously since it's modern Yu-Gi-Oh, you have to play a bunch of defensive cards. So three Ash Blossom, three Effect Veiler, three Maxi, three Droll, um, two Ghost Ogre, one Mourner. So Ghost Ogre was just a card that our friend Gabe was telling us to play a lot. He was thinking it was like really good. It trades well into Deception. It can trade into IP. So like if you focus on the specific disruptions that you want to stop from your opponent, I think Ogre's like a really solid card. And that's what I wanted to aim to do with this deck is like target specific cards I don't want to see on my opponent's end field, and I feel like I can crack the rest. Like Princess really isn't a big disruption for this deck. So like cards like Princess also allow you to end the game easier. So you don't care about things like that. You care about the Omni Negate, since it doesn't destroy, it's not nearly as good. But the biggest card you care about in like the Snake Eye matchup is the IP into SP interaction. So like this being able to stop that is really good. This being able to stop Witch is really nice. It's good into Tempai, and you'll see post board like we're playing Crosshouse, so just having another card like this is really important. And then the last card is three Imperm. So a lot of the negation cards, they're really, really strong, especially when your opponent goes discard or summon Witch, and then they're trying to get to like a Deception or something, and it's like their last push, and they just have no cards. It's really strong. So that's it for the main deck. Like I said, 52 cards. Huge stack of cards. Yeah, like some things could be changed, but I really enjoyed a lot of the cards in it. There's not like glaring issues with it. Something new. Three Phantom, just because of the everyone playing both of the chummies. I felt like the third one's going to come up in the grind game. It came up like once or twice, but in those instances, I had the ability to Solar Rage, put it back in my extra deck. I just added a different card for follow up. So I'm not saying it necessarily always comes up. I had the ability to play around that, but it was a lot of comfort having the third one in my extra deck, especially being able to like combo through boards and just link with one for free. Card's really strong. Obviously, this card should be at one. Fiendsmith package, so Moon, Requiem, Sequence. So like the full package, and then this is like a pseudo Fiendsmith card because like you can make it with the Fiendsmith engine, but you don't always. This card's like probably the least summon card in the extra deck, and you could like theoretically cut it. I just like the flexibility of if your opponent allows you to play, or something I like started doing later on, especially in the giant card, is when you get chummied, you just like full commit because your end board is actually just so good that your opponent can't break it. Especially with like Nightmare Pain, like Phantom, so like they can't swing at your cards. It's hard for them to like out it. They're very sticky cards like Desiree and Brew just make it so like board breakers don't work, and then Solar Rage just trades with so many like cards on the field. So I just decided doing that, and this card was when it was summoned. But besides that, it's not like that great. All these cards necessary, obviously, not a lot to talk about in this extra deck, to be real with you. So yeah, just like standard, no second Yama because we played the Reborn card. Thinking about playing the Pop moving forward, so I might try and find room for the second Yama. Maybe cut the Caesar. Then for the side deck, mini maxis. This just complements the other Fugaros really well. It just allows you to have those 6 plus 3 draws as like floodgate hand traps that allow you to set a precedence on the whole turn. So your opponent just has to play awkwardly throughout their whole turn. Doesn't matter what other hand traps you have, which is really nice. Does conflict with the draw at times, but like since we're playing 52 cards, it shouldn't come up that often. Obviously, this card's really good. Tech of the weekend, obviously Landon's done with it, so it's not my goo, but it's Gabe's goo technically. These cards were actually crazy. Like I mentioned earlier, we can't play Impulse in this deck, so this card's just pseudo Impulse. So like the cards you're normally stopping with Impulse are like 1-for-1. You're stopping Original. You're stopping Hollow. This can also stop Deception, which is really good. It can hit Stand Up, which is really cool. It can hit Oath. It can hit Cross Out, which we thought was like really good because this card pairs super well with hand traps, and so does Gamma. So like the issue with the negates right now, like Phantom of Yubel or the Azamina card, is they tribute themselves for cost, so you can't efficiently double hand trap your opponent. But if you have a card like Gamma, you can let them tribute it and then just Gamma it after, so it's fine. And then you can also use this as like an additional cross out. Like me and Landon both like Gamma it on our own turns for either shifters or chummies or drolls, which is really important. And then this card just like super versatile, can like hit stun, just like negating spells is actually like so good. Yeah, this card was crazy. To be honest with you, I felt bad. I drew Gamma versus so many opponents. I never drew Driver. Shout out to the homie. He's loyal, stays in the deck. Um, one of talents. I've talked about the theory of just like the one talents before. I think it's like really good. You want it somewhere in your deck list. One Call by the Grave and 3 cross out. So that's another reason like you want the talents in there, just like in case you get to the luxury of setting this because your opponent's playing board breakers, hitting a talents is like really important. And then I also like I cross out my opponent's Fenrir and Amir, and like that was crazy. He just conceded right then and there, like traded so much value into it just because I held cross out. Like he hand trapped me once, and then I didn't use Phantom War my cross out just because I felt like my board was going to be good enough anyway. And this just traded into so many of his cards. This is just like the go in first package in combination with like Gamma and this. So like you have 6 ways to like pseudo like play through hand traps, and this deck has a lot of ways to force a hand trap without putting a monster on the field, or like while attributing your monster off the field. For example, the like Lotus or Requiem. So that's really good. So you're able to like use Gamma for a lot of value. So this is like you're going first back, and then you have like the ability to like hard make Venom. I feel like the deck is just insane for going first, and then for Shifter, just because that card's on fun. And then yeah, that was it. The deck's crazy. I'm still a big fan of Yubel in this format. I think it's something you got to be prepared for. It's the highest ceiling deck of the format, so it's always going to have the ability to do well. It's just format to, or not format to format, tournament to tournament dependent. Depending on how people are building their main decks with which hand traps or which tech cards. But yeah, that's it. Once again, shout outs to the team. Couldn't have done it without them. And then hopefully I'll see you guys at YCS Orlando soon. Thanks again. Ruben out.